We are continuing our look at the book of Revelation, and this time we are looking at Revelation chapter 8. Now, what we have been looking at are the seven seals, and we've so far had 6 seals that have been opened, and then we had an interlude in which we had some other things take place. And so this has built up anticipation over what the 7th seal was going to be. So if you can imagine in a movie, when there are a number of things that are supposed to happen and there is a delay before the last one, it's really building up that anticipation. You're thinking this is going to be really powerful. It's something that is really going to shake us and what is going to happen. And that's kind of the effect that we have had here with this separation between the 6th seal and the 7th seal. And so finally now, the 7th seal is about to be opened. And what do we find? Silence. It says there was silence in heaven for about half an hour. And that's it. That's all that happens with the opening of the 7th seal. What's the significance of that silence? We don't know completely for sure. There are a number of theories. One is that the silence is actually to provide space for the prayer that is about to happen just after this. It could also be a sense of awe, being in the presence of God, and the power of all that he is doing in this moment in history. It could be that. It could also be because this is in preparation for the end. If New Testament scholar Craig Keener is correct, and I think that he is, when he suggests that the 7 seals and the 7 trumpets and the 7 bowls are all happening concurrently. That is, they're not happening one after another. It's not 7 and then a new 7 starts and then a new 7 starts, but all 3 sets of 7 are taking place at the same time. This would be in preparation for the return of Jesus and the resurrection that is taking place. So that could be why the silence happens, but it's not spelled out for us exactly. We are told that after this, that there are prayers that are being offered by the saints, and this is using a lot of temple imagery. It talks about an altar and the censers and all of those things. And there definitely was a tradition that there was a heavenly temple, and you can get a sense of that for sure in the book of Hebrews. And so we are transitioning from the 7 seals now to the 7 trumpets. And again, as I said, Craig Keener believes that this will then take us back to that same time as when the 7 seals were just starting. And that the chronology that we're getting here is not as things are happening in history, but is rather the order of the visions that are being experienced by John. And so there are 7 trumpets, and all we are going to look at are the first 4 here. That's what we have in chapter 8. And there is actually a natural division between the 4 and the final 3. But what we find here is that these trumpets are very much like the plagues from the book of Exodus, when Moses was in spiritual combat with Pharaoh, and God was demonstrating his power by bringing a certain number of plagues against Egypt. There is definitely parallels here. We see that the first angel came with hail mixed with blood, and that's burning up the ground in which they are able to grow things. The second one, a huge mountain blaze thrown into the sea. Third one, turning the sea into blood, which is definitely very close to what happens in Exodus. A star falls from the sky. Now, this is not a star in the astronomic sense of something the size of the sun. It's something else that is coming. The word wormwood is connected to the idea of bitterness, and so the waters are turned bitter, and people are unable to drink those waters. The fourth one, a third of the sun is struck, and a third of the moon, a third of the stars, and the result of this is bringing darkness, which is again one of the Exodus plagues. Also, darkness is very much a part of the biblical idea of judgment. In the Old Testament, really the main eschatological hope in the Old Testament is that of the day of the Lord, and often the prophets would equate that with signs in the heavens in terms of the sun and darkness that would take place, and so we would be automatically thinking about those things. But this idea of connecting what God is doing at the end with what God had done earlier in Israel's history, with the time of Moses and the battle with Pharaoh and the plagues that came, and those plagues were plagues of judgment. And in a similar way, these plagues are being used by God to judge the world as well. And so that brings us to the end of the four trumpets, and then we have something that happens that separates the four from the three, and there's an eagle that is flying in midair, and we're not told why it is an eagle. It seems to be representing perhaps an angel of judgment. The angel is announcing something. This is a little bit of an unusual image in terms of Jewish apocalyptic. Perhaps there's some irony here in that very much in mind in these visions is that of the Roman Empire, and the eagle was the symbol for the Roman Empire. Perhaps that is part of what's going on. Also, an eagle is something that is sort of an aggressive bird that would come down upon a helpless small animal and take it away. Something that people would realize was there was always a threat behind an eagle, and that might be the idea of what's going on here, as there is judgment. So that's where we're going to leave it. But we are left with this idea that the first four trumpets have been bad. They've been very bad. But the next three are going to be worse. And in fact, they are referred to as woes. The woes are coming, and people need to be ready because God's judgment is here. Thank you for watching this video. I'd encourage you to check out my website, StephenJBedard.com. Thank you, and God bless.